Just leave it.
It having reached the hour of 5:30, I am calling the October 25th, 2022 Modesto City Council meeting to order and ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Canoyer. Here. Vice Mayor Wright.
Here.
Councilmember Scutia-Brayton.
Here.
Councilmember Madrigal. Councilmember Ricky.
Present.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Here. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation from Cindy Marks from Pray Modesto.
Thank you. It's a blessing to be here with all of you tonight. Thank you. Heavenly Father, I thank you and praise you for your goodness, kindness, and graciousness to us. You are a good God. I ask you for blessings and new, witty inventions for our leaders. I also ask for wisdom for each decision made in this building and for the resources to accomplish great things for our city. Please protect those in law enforcement, fire safety, and other service jobs throughout Modesto. Bless each family represented here. And lastly, I pray for soaking rain and abundant snow to restore our reservoirs and rivers. I thank you, Heavenly Father, for hearing our prayers this evening. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Cindy. All right, does the city clerk have any announcements?
Yes, Mayor. Correspondence was received for item 16 and forwarded to the council.
Thank you. Do any of the council members have any conflicts of interest? Pursuant to Section 2-8.01 of the city's municipal code related to campaign reform, I will be recusing myself from item 16 out of abundance of caution due to campaign contributions received. Vice Mayor Wright will conduct item 16. At this time, we have acknowledgments and presentations. Number one, Stanislaus County update. We have Manny Graywall, Stanislaus County Board of Supervisor, District 4. Welcome, Manny.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager Lopez, City Attorney, and staff. Got an update. I appreciate the opportunity that you guys give me every month to give an update with issues that relate not just to the county, but also to the City of Modesto. And this month, we are very blessed with a lot of infrastructure projects going on in and around Modesto. And so they affect the citizens of Modesto. So I thought it was right to update you. So when you have questions from your constituents, you can let them know what's going on. So first of all, and it's a little bit of a lengthy update, and I want to try to verbatim tell what our Public Works is saying so that I don't misspeak or get any of the dates wrong. So first is the McHenry Avenue widening. That's been going on for a few months now. Construction started actually in January, and then the streets have been closed down for the widening of McHenry past Ladd and Patterson Road, leading over the Stanislaus River and onto the San Joaquin County border. It's a 2-lane road to a 5-lane major road with a dual left turn lane, 8-foot shoulders, and a bike path. Construction started in January of 2022, and it is to be completed within the next month or so. I don't want to give an exact date because all they said is fall of 2022. So winter starts in November, so I thought it would be timely just to say that it should be done in November. The next one is the Airport Neighborhood Active Transportation Connectivity and Safety Project. This project consists of installing sidewalks, which I know the city has had for a while, but on the county side, there is still neighborhoods in the airport neighborhood that don't have sidewalks. So through this transportation and connectivity grant, we will start construction on sidewalks that connect schools and communities in the airport neighborhood starting in October of 2022 and expected to be finished in February of 2023. 7th Street Bridge, that's a big undertaking that we're taking. There's a lot of right-of-way and purchases or eminent domain purchases. We've been having hearings. They've been going well. And so we anticipate to be in construction on that in the middle of 2023. And this will last 18 to 24 months. So it'll be a big project. And then West Modesto sanitary sewer improvements. I was joined and humbled by the fact that we had representatives from the State Senator Susan Eggman, Mayor Zwollen, Councilmember Madrigal, and Councilmember Escutia Brayton in the big investment that we've made in that neighborhood, and Councilmember Wright as well. I think we had the whole council, most of the council. But yes, Councilmember Wright was there as well. And we made an investment. Modesto was generous with the $5 million investment with the state and the county putting in $10 million, hopefully bringing that neighborhood to annexation standards within the near future so that it can become a part of City of Modesto. So those are infrastructure projects. A couple of parks projects that are happening in the county which relate to Modesto. One, unfortunately, has been the closure of Mono Park. It's been declared by our Department of Environmental Resources that it's a public health issue right now with needles and other drug paraphernalia. So we've closed that down. We had a community outreach meeting on Thursday, October 20th, where I was joined with our department director of environmental resources, our parks director, to let the community know. The community actually welcomed that because it had become a nuisance for the entire neighborhood, and we put notices out the day prior, and then we, on Monday, accompanied by the Sheriff's Department, we did close that park because of the issues, so we'll be doing the cleaning of that park, eradicating all of that paraphernalia, and hopefully it will be open in the near future. On a positive note, we were given a grant, and it was a matching grant that the state and the county put in, which will provide updates to Oregon Park, and it's pretty substantial upgrade. So I am going to list all those. So I know many of you represent constituents in that area. You can let them know what they have looked forward to. It closed down. It'll be closing down officially November 1st, opening back up in spring of 2023. So the months of April, May, or before June 21st, before summer starts. And the improvements are 2 new playgrounds, a renovated splash pad, a basketball court, an adult exercise area, a new style Portland loo, which for reasons I can't even describe, but I'm really excited about because it's one of the pilot projects of putting this type of public restroom in our community, first of its kind. I've actually spoke to 2 constituents about it today, and I know we shouldn't be as excited as we are about public toilets, but it's pretty exciting. And a community garden, additional walking paths with solar lights, security cameras throughout the park. So it's great to see that we're putting that type of investment in that park where there's a neighborhood that really deserves it. And those are some pretty good amenities to have for a neighborhood. So Mono Park closes, but Oregon Park gets upgraded and infrastructure. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer. If not, thank you for giving me the opportunity every month to come and speak on what's happening in the county.
Right, thank you. Questions from council members at this time? Chris Rickey.
Yeah, thanks for coming, by the way. It's great to see you. Something that I heard alluded to recently was that the county is spending down some reserves.
Yes, sir.
Can you give us a little more information on how that might affect City of Modesto and how we could advocate for projects in the city?
So with this year's budget, we've made a spend down investment for the upcoming 3 years. $3 million in each supervisual district, equating to $15 million for infrastructure projects. And so if there's any infrastructure issues that in your district that we could utilize those funds, it is discretionary, but I always say it's only discretionary if taxpayers approve for it because it's their dollars. But $3 million in infrastructure, and we're doing $20 million per year in parks and in county-owned facilities. So in my district, we'll be spending, like Oregon Park, in other parks, as well as the Stanislaus County Library here in Modesto. So we're going to be doing major infrastructure improvements to that, like painting the building inside, making it more energy efficient, upgrading the carpeting, taking care of some of that popcorn ceiling that's been there for many, many years. So those are some of the investments that we're making as a county in the cities that our districts represent. So feel free, if there's something that the county can be of assistance with in infrastructure, or county-owned facilities, or even city-owned facilities that we can help out with.
Thanks so much.
Right, thank you. Any comments from the public regarding this update? I see one hand raised online, Zach Driven, but I don't believe that's for this item. All right, any comments from council members?
Thank you for the report.
Thank you for having me.
All
And I
right.
apologize, I think Jenny was at the Colorado Rouse as well. Okay, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Thank you, Thank you so much.
Unfortunately, I'm missing things.
Oh, no worries, no worries. You still leave a legacy of being at every ribbon cutting I've ever attended, so job well done. Thank you,
All
thank
right,
you so
thank you
much,
very
and
much
thanks
for
for
the
the
update.
opportunity. Have a great meeting.
Appreciate it, thanks. All right, item 2 is a proclamation declaring November 2022 is Lung Cancer Awareness Month. I will read the proclamation. Lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer death among men and women in the United States, accounting for more deaths than colon cancer, breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, and prostate cancer combined. The 5-year survival rate for localized lung cancer is 60%, yet only 24% of lung cancers are diagnosed at this stage. Screening for lung cancer for high-risk individuals using low-dose computed tomography can lead to the earlier detection of lung cancer and save lives. Funding for lung cancer research trails far behind funding for research for many other cancers, and additional research is needed in early diagnosis, screening, and treatment for lung cancer, as well as in lung cancer affecting women and lung cancer health disparities. Lung cancer incidence is decreasing twice as fast in men as it is in women. Each year, more women die from lung cancer than breast cancer, and by 2035, more women will die from lung cancer than men. African Americans have the highest lung cancer incidence and mortality of all races, and disparities in lung cancer screening, diagnosis, treatment, and mortality are well characterized among African Americans and other racial minorities. Lung cancer in those who've never smoked is the 7th leading cause of cancer-related death and accounts for 17,000 to 26,000 deaths in the U.S. every year. 60 to 70% of those who never smoked who are diagnosed with lung cancer are women, and the proportion of lung cancers diagnosed in those who never smoked is increasing in the United States. Now, therefore, I, Suze Wallen, hereby proclaim November 2022 as Lung Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Modesto and recognize the need for research in lung cancer affecting women and lung cancer health disparities, and encourage all citizens to learn about lung cancer and early detection through lung cancer screening. Dated this 25th day of October 2022. And that is a proclamation only. There is no one here at this time to accept this. And comments from council members. Councilmember Canoyer.
This is very interesting that this should come on one of my next to last council meeting. As everyone knows, I was diagnosed 4 years ago with stage 4 terminal lung cancer. I had smoked but had quit 50 years ago. But the thing is, I had had a chest x-ray done the month before, and that time that I found out I had lung cancer was because I broke my ribs, went in for a CT scan, and was told I had a mass in my lung. I wasn't coughing, nothing, and I had an X-ray. Since I have had cancer of the lung, and I have looked into how many people get it, I am astonished that it is hardly ever spoken of. There's not big rallies for people with lung cancer, and it's the leading cause of death. You don't have to have smoke. The only way they found my lung cancer was through because I got the CT scan, and I was already terminal. I'm one of those very fortunate that I'm still here 4 years later. But it is really highly recommended because, like everything, it can be cured. I'm sitting here, I'm showing you that 4 years ago they told me, I'm sorry, you're gone, but I'm not, I'm here. So it's finding it, taking what it takes sometimes, losing your hair, in what it does to control the cancer. But another thing is, especially in women seem to be really booming ahead on this, and it's highly recommended that if you are 50 and over, you should ask your primary care doctor to order a CT scan. I have had all my 3 girls are all over 50, and they ask their primary doctors for a CT scan because this cancer does not show up on a regular scan. And like for me, I had not broken my rib. Probably for some people it would be good. I wouldn't be here, but I am here, and I'm shows that you can survive. So if you get the diagnosis, which is really stuns you, when you're sitting there, you don't expect anything, and they say, oh, I'm sorry, we can't do anything for you. You're terminal, and you have 6 months to live. That's a wake-up call. So anyway, I guess I'm just astonished that we don't look at lung cancer like we do breast cancer and heart disease, because it is, and it can be very debilitating, but you can keep going. But anyhow, I thank the city for the acknowledgement and thank the mayor for allowing me to ramble on. Like they say, never give a microphone to a politician.
And to a nurse, maybe. Thanks for your service, Jenny, as a nurse all these years. Councilmember Madrigal?
Thank you, Mayor. Just related to Councilmember Conner's comments and former Councilmember Graywall's presence here reminded me of a comment that he made about 4 years ago or so, when you shared with us that you were going through this battle with cancer. And I'm probably going to misquote Supervisor Graywall now, but he said something along the lines of, I feel sorry for this cancer because you're going to beat it or kick its butt or something like that. And you've definitely proved your resilience once more. And so I just thought it was worth noting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments from council members? Comments from the public? Seeing none? All right, thank you very much for all of your comments. Next is item 3. Consider approving the Appointments Committee recommendations to fill 2 City of Modesto vacancies on the Blight Abatement Advisory Committee for a 4-year term. Does the council have any questions of staff regarding this item? Seeing none, I'll open it to the public. Please step forward.
Mayor, council members, I don't want to be rude, Nobody likes being lied to by the city. I have 3 letters. I have 1 from the state.
Okay, this is regarding item 3. Is that what you wanted to?
This is from the sidewalks.
Okay, we will have public comment period coming up in just the next item
Okay.
for items not on the agenda.
That's what I thought you were calling now.
Oh, not right now, but
Thank you.
just a couple minutes. Okay, you're welcome. All right, seeing no other comments from the public regarding this item, I'll close public comments. Are there any comments from council members? Seeing none, I have a resolution approving the appointment of Brian Marks and Frank Plouffe to the Blight Abatement Advisory Committee to serve a 4-year term beginning November 1st, 2022 through October 13th, 2026. Do I
Motion
have
to
a
approve.
motion? I have a
Second.
motion from Vice Mayor Wright and a second from Councilmember Ricky. Will the city clerk please call the roll for this item?
Councilmember Canoyer,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia-Brayton,
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal,
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky,
Aye.
and Mayor Zwellen.
Aye. So it carries 6-0, and I appreciate these people stepping up for this committee. Next is public comment period. If anyone wishes to speak on any item under public comment, this is for items not on the council agenda, and each person has 3 minutes. So now would be your time. Yes, if you'd like to step forward, thank you.
Well, here I am once again, and what I was trying to tell you, the blight abatement for the appointment for those people, why is the city causing blight? That was going to be on the discussion because every time they put the asphalt on the sidewalks, and it's not done according to ADA standards, it causes blight. It causes the value of the property being affected, and it's not done right, and it's not done in accordance with the laws. I have a letter from the state that says that you guys own 9th Street, yet the city has lied to me for 20 months calling it Caltrans. Really, do you gotta go that far that you're gonna lie on a letter, said it's Caltrans, and the state comes back and says it's been the city's for decades? You have obstructions in that sidewalk that the city placed, street lights, traffic lights, MID poles, and you've done nothing to block it off and allow equal access. Why don't you do something about it? Block off that entire sidewalk, not let anybody on it, on 1 square inch of it all the way until those poles are removed or there's access made that is pertinent to the ADA. Mr. Ricky told me that they were gonna stop the asphalt because it is in violation of ADA standards. The city knows that. In fact, their ADA coordinator willfully and intentionally violates the law by sending me the letters denying my claims against the city to force you to fix the sidewalk. Nobody wants to come down from the council. I talked to the vice mayor once for about 10 minutes, tell them that they need to be fixed. You want to spend money everywhere but where it's supposed to go. Those people that pay taxes on those properties pay for those sidewalks to be done correctly, not asphalted over and lose value. That's what the city's doing. Now, you violated my rights on 9th Street because I've had to park all the way down at the transmission shop because there's never any parking and walk past them pretty much every day and then walk back past them. Then if I go to lunch, walk back here and then walk back past them. And then I found out from an attorney in Orange County that the city knows and the city willfully violates my rights, and it's $4,000 for each obstacle I have to go through. I'm begging you, block that sidewalk off or have one of your council members meet with me instead of being cowards, and let's fix it. I know how to fix it. It's not just remove the poles. It's not like sue the city. You know, I got money, I survive. I own my home. I don't own any mortgage, none of that. But nobody will stop and talk about fixing it. You need to do it. And if you don't, then you all are willfully violating my civil rights. And the false arrest done on April 1st, the attempt through your security thing, That holds on for 2 years. I filed a complaint, and I filed a claim against the city for it. And the attorney in Orange County says, oh, they've really messed up. Well, I don't want to go after the city for money because evidently you're broke and you're paying for all these advisors that we don't need, the guys to put asphalt. It's got to stop. Those sidewalks were cement. You took on the responsibility when they were cement. It should be replaced with cement, and it should be flat and level. There's one that's on Scenic. It's like 12 inches tall and nothing left. You went and ground off about a half an inch off the top, and you think it's okay. It's not okay.
Thank you for your comments.
It's worse than comments. I got photos of everything, and you deny it.
All right.
And then you try to send a denial letter on the claim. Well, I figured I could get the money out of the city and I could use the claim to fix the sidewalks. But you guys want to lie about it existing. But I got the photos. Orange County, he wants to just file the lawsuit in the federal courts. How about somebody from the council talking to me? Mr. Wright? Think you can do that? Mayor? Councilman? Miss Jenny? I talked hard about you the last time. I kind of apologize for that. I didn't know about your health problem. But I do respect you. But something has to be done. People are getting hurt. And I got hurt.
All right.
And you lied about it and played games. It's got to stop. Federal government said, sue you. ADA says, we can fine them. We can fine them. $150,000 per occurrence and millions of dollars. Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Mr. Dafford, it's time.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, but you guys need to quit. You need to stand up and you need to fix the sidewalks.
All right, online we have Patrick.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I think you guys all know what I'm calling about, or doing this Zoom about. Taking time away from my busy day to come down here and talk about the murder of Paul Chavez. You guys have still done nothing. You guys have made no comment about it. It's despicable. That's not even the word. That this officer still has a job with a gun, and it's scary. It's scary to think that here any day now somebody else is going to die. That's not just a guess. That's going to happen. Officer Lamantia fired his firearm 5 times in line of duty, killing 4 people before you guys decided that he no longer needs to have a firearm for his job. Sam Muncie, 2 times, most recent killing Paul Chavez. The DA needs to pick up this case because it's giving me and everybody around me, I've talked to multiple people, no hope in the city of Modesto. I was out protesting this, and I had a citizen walk up to me and say, yeah, this has been going on for 40 years. If you want somebody dead, send them to Modesto and call the police on them. That's what somebody told me. I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked that somebody thought that they had to come up and tell me that. I couldn't believe it. But now that I'm seeing all the stuff that's going on, hell, I'm a college student as well as a full-time employee with Stockton Unified School District. I'm a college student as well. And I talked to my professor today, and he said that he was discriminated against by Modesto police. They pulled guns on him while he was just walking down his street in his neighborhood. Mind you, this is a scholar. This is a professor that shouldn't be being treated like this, but he does. He gets treated like this because Modesto police have the superiority complex. I've had guns pulled on me. I don't have a criminal record. I've never been in trouble in my life. And I still had guns pulled on me by Modesto police. It doesn't happen when I leave Modesto, but it happened in Modesto. You guys got to do better. Modesto has to do better, and you guys need to quit hiding Officer Sam Muncie, because he's going to kill again. Mark my words. And like I said, I'll be at every single one of these meetings. I'm not going to miss any anymore, because now I know every day that they are. And you guys are going to have to hear from me. And I will tell every single person on the council, whether it's you guys or not, that I was right, that the city of Modesto was right, the community was right about Sam Muncie killing again. That's all I got to say. Talk to you guys next council meeting. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next is Tina Perez Tateo.
Okay, may I ask those who are here in the audience? Thank you. May I ask those who are here in the audience who is in support of repealing the no cruising ordinance, please stand. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Tina Perez Tateo, and I'm a proud member of the Modesto Cruisers Council. I'm here today to ask again to put on the agenda to vote on lifting the ban on cruising. We had our Crush the Cancer cruise last Friday night, and all I can say that it was very moving and awesome. We all met at the Graffiti Museum because we were invited to. We had a little surprise for everyone there. The very first lowrider entered in the museum was last Wednesday. And when everybody entered, their eyes were just like so big, because it's for the lowrider community, it's huge. And anyway, so we thank Mr. Cecil Russell for that. We thank his daughter Carly Russell for that, and also Jennifer Mullen for that. They helped make it happen. Anyways, it belongs to Till and Veronica Andrade. It's a 56 wagon, and they named her Rosemary after her mother. I believe she had cancer. So anyways, so from the museum, we cruised on over to 10th Street, where we had a beautiful lineup of lowriders and hot rods cruising together. You can actually look on it on the Modesto Views Instagram page. It was an amazing sight to see. We had a Relay for Life information booth set up there on the corner, and the community actually raised $375 that night. So that was awesome. I like to thank Monica Cicero and Irene Cortez, who was in charge of that. Mayor, I have a letter from Relay for Life that would you like me just to give it to you, or would you like to read it?
Well, you can give it to us, and then we can have a copy for everybody.
Okay, well, actually, you can, okay, that'd be great, okay. So anyways, it's just saying, them thanking the Modesto Cruisers Council and how much we raised, so forth, okay? Anyways, the businesses downtown looked like they did really, really good. They were super busy that night, so we were proud of that. I mean, everybody just had a great time. Chief Gillespie said that everything went pretty smoothly, no incidents as far as we know with the cruise. We met with him yesterday, and actually, Joe, Mr. Lopez. So we'd just like to thank the chief and his 2 motorcycle officers that he had there. They were actually on overtime to help us out. So we want to thank you all very much from the Modesto Cruisers Council. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome. Next online, Steve.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I would like to read from the information that is found on your official city website under information about the city council meetings. Under the heading, these are rules related to the public comment period. It says, please refer to special public comment instructions above. Okay, I don't need to read that. 3-minute time limit per speaker. Only interested persons in the audience may present these matters. Under state law, council members may respond to matters being presented under this item only as follows. A, briefly respond to statements made or questions raised. B, ask a question for clarification. C, provide a reference to staff or other resources for factual information. D, request staff to report back at a subsequent meeting. E, finally, a council member or the council itself may take action to direct staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Mayor Suze Wallen, ever since your police department murdered Trevor Seaver, from the very beginning when you became mayor, I'll admit I was hopeful about what your being mayor could do for getting justice for that family and for cleaning up the disgusting mess at our police department. A lot of people don't realize how much death and how much harm has been done by these people over the years because mostly you guys managed to brush it under the rug, right? Anyhow, I was kind of astonished to find out you've been lying to us for like 2 years or so. Just the other day, I decided I wanted to revisit the body cam footage as well as cell phone footage that showed police officer Sam Muncie murdering Paul Chavez Jr. Because there was some stuff that I just was like thinking about, wow, did I really see that correctly? And I just didn't want to have an inaccurate memory of what I watched in a video, etc. It took 26 seconds from the time Officer Muncie, so Muncie pulls up on Paul Chavez laying in the shade on the grass with his gun already pointed at him, starts yelling orders. Paul's drunk, he's confused. 26 seconds later, he's shot dead. I would love to hear from you, Mayor Wallen, or any other member of the council who is brave enough to step up and do the right thing and be honest and represent this community, which includes myself and my questions, and which includes the family of Trevor Seaver. It includes the family of Paul Chavez Jr. I would just love to hear if you guys have watched that video and how you feel about it, and if what you saw was anything close to what you would consider the kind of policing that you think is okay in our community, or whether or not maybe you have concerns about it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next in person is Adrian Harrell. Welcome.
Madam Mayor, honorably elected officials, ladies and gentlemen of the gallery, good evening. My name is Adrienne Harrell, and I am a city volunteer. I am the president of Modesto Sister Cities International. I am here before you for the first time in, I think, a little bit more than 5 years. I was absent for a short while. We had other leadership, and there was the pandemic, and so it is an honor to be back before you. I'm here only to provide you with a quick little update as to what Modesto Sister Cities International has been doing. As you know, recently we had a very successful fundraiser within the city of Modesto. We raised a little over $80,000. Of those $80,000, actually $25,000 of it was facilitated. It did not come into our coffers. We facilitated the sending of those funds from Modesto through the Catholic Charities to Ukraine for humanitarian purposes. We sent another $25,000 just recently to purchase an electric generator. We recently received media coverage of the installation of the generator. It was instrumental in saving lives in our sister city of Khmelnytsky. Recently, there's been a lot of bombings in and around the city of Khmelnytsky, and some of their power plants had gone down, and the generator that was in the children's hospital was able to run the equipment in the NICU unit, so there were a lot of lives that were saved. We still have about another $25,000 that is outstanding, and we have allocated and have a list of humanitarian aid items that we are going to be purchasing. We are working with the U.S. military to see if there's any way that we can send those equipment through with the aid of our military into the war zone, because Ukraine is a war zone at this point in time. And we haven't had much success just yet because our military tells us that there's a lot of other priorities over our equipment. But we'll continue to work with them and make sure that we do get all of that aid one way or another into our sister city of Khmelnytsky specifically. Second item, I wanted to let you know that at the end of this year, we are going to be hosting an event for the members of the Sister City organization. It is going to be an end-of-year holiday gathering, and it is going to be by invitation only because it is going to be in my house, and I have a very small house. So, but it is a good opportunity for us to recognize our members who have been by our side and have helped us raise funds, and we will be opening that up to the council as well to attend. Final item that I would like to bring to the council is that we are going to be having, well, we've already received an invitation for October 2023. It is an invitation from our sister city of Japan, Kurume. It is for our 35th anniversary, I believe, and they would like to invite the mayor and a group to come to Kurume. If the mayor is not available, given your schedule, they would like to move the date either to September or October because they would really like to have representation from City of Modesto in Kurume. And that kind of, we're hoping that maybe we can move that because the Sister City organization has not forgotten the fact. I apologize, I do realize I've gone over my 3 minutes, but bear with me. We had a 150th anniversary of our City of Modesto that happened during the pandemic, and we did not get to celebrate that. So we would like to put on an event and invite all of our sister cities, folks, elected officials from all of our sister cities from around the world to come to Modesto, and hopefully we can try and plan for that and have a nice gala and have it also be a fundraiser for the organization in October of next year. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'll take any questions you might have.
Thank you. This is public comment period, so we'll take it from you, and please be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good evening.
Thank you. Next, online, John.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So, of course, just like every meeting, I'm just going to start off with the three names, Paul III, Abraham, and Josiah. The three kids that never get to see their father again. Paul was accompanied by his three boys, his wife, and a whole gang of family. He did nothing wrong. He had no weapons. He wasn't acting sporadic. He wasn't showing any threatening signs. He wanted one thing, and he wanted one thing only: to be helped, to be held. He wanted someone to understand what he was going through. He wanted to be told that everything was going to be okay. He was scared of you monsters, not because he was doing anything wrong, but because he knew all about how you people work. I myself struggle from mental issues, severe depression, severe anxiety, bipolar disorder, and ADHD. I've had multiple run-ins with the police myself. Why didn't you shoot and kill me? Why didn't you shoot and kill me when I had a knife in my hand? Or better yet, a baseball bat? Why wasn't I shot and killed when I physically threatened an officer to his face and all he did was laugh me off like I was the common idiot? I truly want to know the difference, because we both had jobs, we both had wives, we both loved our lives the same amount. We had goals and we had dreams. Why not me? I still can't to this day figure out the fact what the difference was between myself and my cousin's situation when it came to the police at that point. Was it the fact that he had kids? Or was it the fact that the officers that currently had dealt with my situations were properly trained for a situation like that? I'll let you decide that. Anyways, at the end of the day, we lost a father, a husband, a brother, a son, a cousin, an uncle, a nephew, a grandson, a best friend, and lastly, a human being. And to me and my family, that's not okay, nor will it ever be. We love you, CJ. We will keep your name alive, and we will get justice for you one way or another. Say his name, please. Justice for Paul Chavez Jr. And while I'm at it, let Modesto cruise. San Jose did it. Let's be cool like them. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Next, Arthur Fabella.
Good evening, council members and members of our community. I'm here in regards to the municipal golf course. My name's Arthur Fabella, and I've been a lifelong resident of the Modesto Series area. I attended Modesto High and I graduated in 1979. The last 13 years I moved to the municipal golf course community. I'm retired. I've worked 10 years of production work and 30 years as a construction worker. I've raised 3 daughters and I have 7 grandchildren. 10 years ago, myself, Tuolumne River Trust, a number of community members, and a young lady named Annalisa Freitas did the first river cleanup at Gateway Park. That was 10 years ago. It was, of September. It was kind of a monumental date for me. I still do volunteer work at Gateway frequently and have been instrumental in obtaining grants for millions of dollars for the Tuolumne River Regional Park at Nice Drive and Carpenter Road as citizen outreach. I use the Muni Golf Course and Gateway Park weekly. It is an integral part of my routine. I'm also a tourist of California. I visit other communities and take note of good and bad and what could be applied to my community. I'm a consumer, and as a consumer, I am selective on the amenities a place has to offer. I've also attended meetings on the 7th Street Bridge and participated in desired designs and benefits of a modern bridge. I see the Muni Golf Course as a once-in-a-lifetime economic opportunity to Modesto. And I have a plan that will support the many community improvement projects on the west side and the vicinity while keeping the integrity of Muni as a green space and while offering the many amenities West Side lacks now. I do not support residential development as West Modesto is already one of the most populated areas in the city, and to cram additional people in an already overpopulated area would be detrimental to the citizens and community as well as the economic advancement of that area. I have solutions, and I look forward to opening up a new and creative dialogue in regards to the advancement of the municipal golf course. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Brittany Chavez.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me look in my notes real quick. All right, my name is Brittany Chavez. I am the wife of Paul Chavez. I would like to start off with facts. Facts, my husband, Paul Chavez. He does not have a criminal record. He's a husband, a father, a son, a brother, an uncle, a cousin, a nephew, a grandson, and a great friend who put himself last to help others first. He was also a caretaker to his 85-year-old grandmother. He was a truck driver for 12 years, a taxpayer, and member to his communities wherever he lived. He helped those in need, providing food and clothing and going to elders to help with yard work, which is way more than any of you can say that are sitting on that board, which is way more that you probably have done, feel like doing, or will ever do. Paul was a heart of gold and had the weight of the world on his shoulders. And instead of police officers that day who took his life to de-escalate the situation, chose to end his life. Facts. Sergio Valencia tased my husband for no reason. Facts. Sam Lindsay shot not once but twice for no reason. Fact, it took Valencia and Muncie, both officers of the Modesto Police Department, 26 seconds to tase and shoot and kill my husband, Paul Chavez. 26 seconds from the time of approaching my husband, who was sleeping on a neighbor's lawn, to sleep it off. Fact, neither police officer officer identified himself nor my husband, Paul Chavez. Fact. Both police officers knew Paul was drunk upon arrival. Fact. This was not the first time that Modesto police encountered my husband, Paul, since our move in May of this year. Fact. Paul did, and I repeat, did not approach either officer. In fact, they approached him and kept walking towards him. Fact. Paul Chavez was blacked out, incoherent. Fact. He lost his footing, almost a stumble in a sense, because there was a grate in the grass, and again, he was drunk trying to walk home. Fact. The reason Paul was there to begin with was to stay with my parents to sober up for 3 months. Fact. The officers were needed to de-escalate the situation. Fact. Officer Valencia and Muncie only escalated the situation. Fact. They drug Paul's body out, yelling, giving orders to let go of a plant. As if he wasn't shot not once but twice, and he was holding on to dear life. Fact. Paul was in disbelief when he was shot, when he looked at that bullet wound. Fact. After cops drug his body out, he was still breathing and left there to choke on his blood. Fact. The sergeant, who I call the Orange Devil, who was there, did nothing but stick a patch on his bullet wound. Fact. EMT did nothing to help. Instead, took their time to get out of the vehicle, look at him while she walked, as her partner stayed outside of the vehicle, then to walk back to get the gurney, then to go and get him and still do nothing as he was sitting there, choking on his blood, still trying to breathe with his head and his eyes rolling back and forth. Fact. Officer Muncie killed 2 people, one my husband. Fact. Officer Muncie is back on force. Fact. Officer Muncie is a murderer. Fact. The Chief Gillespie will not hold Sam Muncie accountable. Fact. The mayor won't choose to do anything about it. Fact. The DA Birgit, however you want to say her name, I don't know how to pronounce it, wants to justify the killing, the murder of my husband, Paul Chavez. Fact. Paul Chavez's murder upon others from police brutality is not justified. The district attorney needs to pick up the case. Chief Gillespie needs to hold his officers accountable. Sue, you need to hold your city accountable. Nothing will change. This moving forward together, it's never gonna change. Especially when you keep allowing the chief and Modesto Police Department to have the higher authority. Hello, Sue? You have the higher authority. You can help. You can make this change. You can do so much more because that's what you were supposed to do when you were voted in as mayor, to do more for this community. And I'm in just disbelief on why nothing has happened except for talking about moving together. It will never be a movement together when we still have murdering cops that are still on the police force. I want to end by saying that I thank Kimberly Rickey for joining us on our rally last Saturday. That meant legit the world to me. When I got to meet her and she only had a little bit of time for her lunch and to introduce herself and just to tell me how sorry she is. That meant the world to me because there was somebody else who was on the other end, who was tied in with the council, and she maybe not understands, but she sees the bad. What I don't understand is why you all can't, and why you can't do what she does. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you for your comments. Next, we have Raylene.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Chavez family. My friend CJ, we called him CJ growing up, was known as Paul He was murdered, as we all know, by Modesto police officer Sam Muncie. Cold blood and for no reason. Sergio Valencia shot him with a taser, and Sam Muncie chose to shoot CJ just seconds after he was tased. They didn't use other tactics known as impact weapons, like a baton or a nightstick. No chemical sprays were deployed, no tackling him down. He just shot him in cold blood, in front of his wife, in front of the neighbors, in front of the world to see that Sam Muncie is indeed a murderer. I've known CJ since 5th grade, and I've known Brittany, his wife, since the 1st grade. We go back a long time, and we started families at the same time. There's been a lot of similarities with our lives. We have awesome working husbands, we have kids, and you get this fairy tale of happily ever after, and she doesn't get to live that. Her sons are living on a memory of their dad, and they're so young that, who knows what that memory is going to be like. They have this video forever ingrained in their head online that they can forever find of their father being shot and killed by a police officer who's sworn to protect and serve his community. That in itself is just disgusting. His wife she'll never be whole again. She was his soulmate, and I know that based off of years, about 15 years, I'd say, that I've always seen them together. You didn't know Brittany without CJ, and you didn't know CJ without Britt. They were a team. He was intoxicated, we know that. I don't understand why, he didn't get the mental help from the police officers. There were no extra steps taken. It was just shoot and kill. You see it in Sam Muncie's body language. His demeanor when he's there is very aggressive. There were no other steps taken. And to me, that just shows you he's a coward. He's not a real man, because a real man has a heart and he has a soul and he thinks clearly before he acts. Sam Muncie acted like a child, and he was scared. Scared of what? An intoxicated man who was in a confused, disoriented stupor where he couldn't respond to things around him, even if he tried. He didn't know what was going on. I feel like the police are required to follow certain protocols before taking someone's life. It shouldn't just be a snap. They should have a moral obligation to the public to let the public know that they're in a safe and protected zone. But when you go and shoot a very prominent member of the community who is known for giving, he never took anything from anybody. And then you take that life, what confidence do we have as citizens in the police department then? That makes us scared to call the cops after that. People don't feel safe and protected as they should. That's all I have to say. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Next is Ramon Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, council members. I would like to speak about Officer Espinosa. Recently, I called the family of Alonso Nunez to see what they're going on, and Myra, Alonso's sister, told me about that in around February or March of this year. A private investigator came and was asking for Alonso, and she thought it was about his case. But he told her that he was hired by a criminal defense attorney over Officer Espinosa because he used excessive force on a person that was after Alonso. And since she brought me up, I looked up on Google and I found a case on case text that is labeled Gonzalez versus City of Modesto, Modesto Police Department. And you know who's the defendant of that case is? None other than Officer Dustin Espinosa. And you know what he did? And this is before Alonso Nunes. This happened in June of 2019. He used excessive force on Juan Carlos Gonzalez. And he used the same exact force that he did. I got the case open. But he beat him. He restrained really bad, punched in the face and chest, subdued until he was unconscious, and cuffed him. And his sister, Lisette, told the officer that Juan is not a threat to anyone. He was just drunk. And when she knew that her brother's life is in danger, she was upset and asked the officer not to arrest and asking their names. And Officer Espinosa was upset. He was irate, acting like a bully, so he threatened her arrest and still used excessive force. And you know what happened? She took out the phone, took pictures, and recorded a whole incident. And Officer Espinosa just, snapped and arrested her, and then threatened to arrest and put more charges on her, violating for First Amendment rights. And Modesto police tried to dismiss the case, but she won and moved on. And I'm asking you guys, why is this Officer Espinosa still on the job? He, like Joseph Wamatia and Sam Muncie, are nothing more than felons with a badge and a gun. And I hope that anyone from this city and the police department realize that having these kind of officers reflect poorly on the department with their gladiator felony mentality. We've lost Trevor Seaver. We've lost Paul Chavez. We lost other members of the community who died in the hands of the police department, and the city has blood. And Flagger, she has blood in her hands too. I've wrote the letters a couple of times about this officer that beat Alonso. He's going to do it again. He's going to kill someone. And you know what Barry Flagger did? She drew away. And Espinosa came back on force when they found out that he did not do nothing wrong. The DA was not interested, and she drew away my letters to the garbage. There's got to be accountability. We have forward together meetings a lot of times, and I've warned this. If you guys don't change the training, if you guys don't hold corrupt felon officers accountable, you're going to have this again. And this Measure H, forget it. Why would we want to pay more for cops going on and continuing to abuse members of the community that lead to mainly the injuries and death? You guys got to do better at that. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have Muncies and Espinosas going on beating and killing people. That's not look good for Modesto. You got to change it. And yeah, justice for Trevor Seaver, justice for Paul Chavez, and justice for Alonso Nunes, because I had it. No more cops doing felony activities and based on their training with Grand Theft Auto. That's got to end right now. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next is Jay.
Hello, council members. I am a resident of Modesto for nearly 20 years. Like many others, I have watched the slow progress the city has made to better the lives of the community. And it is due to the city's persistent gaslighting. Gaslighting with policies, regulation, laws to make its citizens question the legitimacy of their worries regarding the city budget, zoning for housing, and the recent redistricting. The Supreme Court has ruled that the police have no obligation to protect or serve the public, readily apparent in the dismissal of victims of police violence. Yet the city is promoting Measure H for more police fighting to fight high crime while obscuring a mismanaged budget. The city of Modesto has published data showing significant drops in crime, yet sends out voting material after material persuading the public of the opposite. It's gaslighting, it's filling the city with fear through the power of propaganda so they can comply. It's a lie to remove any concern of the city's budget. I call for a public reevaluation of the city's finances. In August, Modesto's Housing Plan Community Workshop told worried citizens there are still many barriers to getting housing built for everyone. Last year, the state's Department of Housing and Community Development gave the Stanislaus Council of Governments a regional housing need determination of 34,344 new units to be built by local governments from 2023 to 2031, which will constitute the sixth cycle. The fifth cycle we are currently in is ending in 2023, and the city of Modesto was required to fulfill a regional housing need allocation for RHNN of 6,361 units with 1,546 for very low income. To date, Modesto has currently 103 permits for very low income. reaching only 6.7% of the aforementioned RHNA goal. Cities found out of housing element compliance can have all zoning ordinances suspended and no permits can be denied, which is what happened in Los Angeles after officials continued to delay rezoning and are now in the midst of a housing boom that will benefit many. Last year, the citizens of Clovis and nearby Fresno successfully sued the suburb for not adequately zoning for affordable housing. I urge my fellow citizens to report non-compliance of housing element and pursue legal action against the City of Modesto. Otherwise, the city's housing officials continue to gaslight citizens in housing workshops and other community meetings with excuses of zoning that the state currently does not allow. Modesto's recent redistricting cut right through the city, giving 2 representatives for a moderately sized city. Los Angeles City Council's leaked audio of collusion with the redistricting board confirmed every concerned California citizen's fear about the new maps. There is a repeated assurance this is an isolated incident involving a few people of power in Southern California, but it is an empty one. I ask for an investigation into the redistricting of Modesto and the greater Stanislaus County. A final suggestion for Miwok and Yakutsk indigenous leaders to be given supervisory roles across the stolen and occupied land we are currently on. Thank you and good night.
Good night. Next is Alicia Hager.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. It seems that we have been becoming very familiar with each other. We should invite each other for the holidays because it seems like we get together more than me and my family do talking about all these problems in Modesto. One of them being the matter of respect. Now, growing up and even being a grown adult, well, you've been around a little bit. You have some years on you. We all know that respect comes and goes. So you give it to get it, right? Einstein says what goes up must come down. Now, these are the laws of humanity, the laws of physics. This is the way the world works, the way the cookie crumbles, so on and so forth, right? So respect was not given when my brother died, Paul Chavez, when I showed up in front of his body and they asked, do you want to see your sister? And I said, let me talk to my sister. And then it was all a setup. And let me tell you why my brother's death was a setup. Because my brother had 4 incidences involved with the police that nobody knew about. 4 incidences involved in the police in the matter of 2 months. The police even took him to the psychiatric ward, dropped him off. That was 3 weeks before his death. 3 weeks before his death, he comes out of the psychiatric ward after being in there for 3 days. Known as becoming suicidal and, overusing alcohol to cope with it and to cope with his terrible childhood. He was known as one of the childs in the rough, so the ones that get out of the rough, Because of this coping mechanism, they were put on medication. The cops know this because they took him there. You have to sign medication papers, you have to sign release papers, all that stuff, They denied this, knowing that they dropped him off. A week later, he relapses, taking all this medication. Now, let me tell you something from somebody that takes medication. I know that when I sign up to take medication, you have to sign a release form saying that you're not allowed to take other drugs because it fucks with your head. It messes with your head a little bit. It messes with your hormonal balance. It makes you act in ways that you would normally never act. And we all know this, including the police who took him to get on this medication. Now, knowing that he's drunk because, again, they showed up like they were going to war. So getting out of the car, knowing he's drunk upon arrival, they also knew that he was on medication because they were the one that took him there. Now, this is why they came out so aggressively. This is why they came off so terrible when me and my husband showed up asking all these questions like, what's going on? In the moments of seconds of me asking for my sister and gathering her and bringing her to me, they then changed their mind and said, no, she can't come. In those moments, they also decided to touch me with a tape that said caution and told me that I was going to be under arrest for getting involved somehow. Now, I went to court for this case because me and my husband were not given the respect of being able to mourn, nor has any of our family been given the respect to mourn over my brother's murder by the Modesto Police Department and the murder by the AMT and the EMT and everybody that was involved there, which let me tell you, it was 4 blocks of people. And in those moments, no respect given, none of us are allowed to mourn. None of us are allowed, his soul is not allowed to rest. Do you know what that irritation inside feels like? Do you know what his children feel like when they're asking me, like, hey, where are we gonna go? And oh, there's an extra seat. And oh, at least we can do these things now, but not with my dad. It's nobody gets mourning respect. Just like when they took me to jail, I asked the police officer, you know what you should do? You should give me the respect and drop me off at home to mourn respectfully. But they couldn't. But you know what they did? They dropped the case. They sure dropped the case when I showed up because they said none of that happened. But it happens because now I'm going to ask for all the police footage. And you guys will see that it's not just Paul Chavez, that it's the whole city that's been corrupt. You can Google all of it. It goes back 5 years. 5 years back to when an officer was getting retired and another officer was getting promoted. An officer that was lower than him got very jealous and he actually pulled out a 6-inch knife. And it reported to the services to get a whole clarification for it, and he was fired, and they actually had to clean house. Now, that was 5 years enough to get corrupted again, and that's how long, well, he's been around, 7-year veteran. That's a long enough time to get corrupted. Now, I ask for you guys, look at the footage, because I know you still haven't. If you don't look at the footage, then you guys are just as despicable as they are. You don't care. Show your care, show your worth, show that you're walking with us, and if not, then you guys are murderers too. Are you a murderer, or are you going to look at the footage and ask the same questions we're asking? Or you can become a part of Big Brother if you want a Big Brother community. You can show us, because we'll be here. We haven't forgotten. God bless you, CJ. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Next is Teresa Clutter.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So, like everyone else that has spoken on behalf of Paul Chavez, I'm sure you know who I am. I'm Teresa Clutter. I am the mother-in-law of Paul Chavez. I was having a pretty good day today, considering our lives have been completely tormented the last 3 months. But it's really hard to listen and relive that day. Because when you see your kid get killed in front of you, it changes you forever. It's not like watching your grandma pass away because she's old, or a loved one that's been sick for many years and you're watching and you're preparing. There is nothing in this world that ever prepares you to see a child that's been in your life for 15 years that you love be treated like a piece of garbage and killed in front of you when all you wanted was help because you didn't know how to handle the situation. And all I hear out of Modesto is that you lie. You guys are repeat offenders. Everybody lies. And if you're a liar, you're a cheater and a thief. That's the way it is. So with that being said, you can't be trusted, none of you. Stu, you're the mayor. You hold the keys to the city. So for you not to be able to do anything or choose not to is, I don't even have a word for it. My mind cannot process. You have the power to make your city great, and you choose to keep it hostage and corrupt. That is your position. Because if it wasn't your position, you would do something different. But you don't, so it tells me where you stand. No one is brave enough. There are no leaders. There are only followers of your corruption. So if you want to do anything good in your lifetime, you should start with your city. Make people be accountable for their actions. It's not okay. And you should be the city that doesn't stand for it and put your foot down and says, this will not happen in my city. Justice for Paul Chavez. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, is there anyone else wishing to come forward to speak under public comment for items not on the agenda? And I have your card, Mr. Drake, okay. Did you want to speak under public comment? Please do, come forward.
Emerson Drake, longtime Modesto resident. You know, tonight for a change, I'm not trying to roast your behinds. I know that's a change of pace for you. I can appreciate that. But I'm concerned about the electioneering that's going on in Modesto right now. We saw a little bit tonight. They say religion never gets involved, but we have a candidate come up here and do the invocation. On a timely basis, I'll give them credit for that, but it's still a concern. We've seen what the Fourth Estate does and their recommendations and endorsements. They actually endorsed an election denier, someone who would still suggest the 2020 election was not a legal election, and endorse that person for the MID board. Now, you've got the right to believe what you want, don't get me wrong. But when you challenge our elections, I take issue with it. And I take issue with any group that's supposed to be helping people learn about the candidates that covers up that information. I take great exception to it. And when we see people on a regular basis being denied hearing the truth, you know, when this same individual that's running for the MID board and used to serve on the city council is trying to undermine this upcoming election, I get more concerned. When you ask them, they will say, you can't trust the election. Now, I've only been in Modesto 35 years. I've never seen any reason to believe that we haven't been honest and above board all the way. I see no reason to suggest that the people can't trust our election board. But yet they're doing it, and when the Modesto Bee covers it up, that's reprehensible. You know, if you have an opinion on it, speak it loud. But when you hide that opinion, and an organization like the Bee helps you hide that opinion, I think there's a problem. You know, we don't expect, nobody's ever happy with endorsements, and it's not the individual. It's the idea that we're hiding that information. The same people are, you know, we watched on the news last night as armed people, I'm not going to call them vigilantes, were standing in an election drop box with guns and masks and tactical gear, threatening people. In another location, they were actually filming the people and challenging whether they had the right to vote. Now, we can't allow, if you're going to allow it, fine, and it's not you, I'm talking about the public, but let's be honest across the board about these opinions. Let's not pretend. If you want to believe that, fine, but say it out front. Don't hide it. Don't get the Bee to help you. And then when you get inside, continue to try to undermine the very election that might get you somewhere. And we see the Bee, I'll wrap it up quick. When we see the Bee's endorsements and we see something this bogus, you actually have to question every single one they made. You have to wonder what else they're hiding. Didn't used to be that way. No, they've always had an axe to grind with certain people running for office. But when we see what we've seen recently, it's wrong. Madam Mayor, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else wishing to come forward to speak under public comment? This is for items not on the agenda. All right, seeing none, we will at this time take a 5-minute break and then return. Seeing none, is there anyone in the public that would like an item removed from consent for further discussion or comment? And we have one request from the public. Emerson Drake has requested that we pull consent item number 13. Well, if there's anyone that would just like to make a comment on a consent item without pulling it, they could make that comment also at this time. All right, will the city clerk please read the consent items?
Yes, Mayor. Item 4, consider approving the minutes from the October 11, 2022 council meeting. Item 5, consider approving a homeowner rehabilitation loan in the amount of $80,251 and a homeowner rehabilitation grant in the amount of $10,000 for a total project cost of $90,251 to Christopher and Stacy Gates for health and safety repairs to the residential property located at 1125 Spring Creek Drive in Modesto. Item 6, consider approving a will serve letter and outside sewer service agreement for sewer service for the property located at 2117 Parr Avenue. Item 7, consider approving a one-time purchase for 5 Hayward Gordon pumps from Hayward Gordon Group out of Ontario, Canada for an amount not to exceed $135,278. Item 8, consider approving the award of proposal and agreement for the furnishing of external auditing services to Vasquez and Company, LLC, out of Glendale, California, for a 3-year agreement with 2 one-year extension options for an estimated annual cost of $142,228 over 5 years of $715,000. Item 9, consider approving an agreement with Nutrient Ag Solutions out of Sacramento for weed abatement chemical premix known as OcuMix proprietary custom pre-blend for a total amount not to exceed $350,000 over 5 years. Item 10, consider approving an informational report on the May and June 2022 grant applications and awards. Item 11, consider approving the fiscal year 2022-2023 CAL FIRE Rural Fire Capacity Program Grant Award in the amount of $39,800, which includes a 50% local match for the procurement of wildland firefighting equipment.
Excuse me, I just wanted to note that on item 10 and 11, it's accepting those reports rather than approving.
Accepting.
Okay.
I apologize. Item 12, consider approval of a sole source renewal agreement with Civic Plus for continued uninterrupted hosting and maintenance of the city's website for a 4-year term for a total amount not to exceed $164,285. Item 13 was removed from consent. Item 14, consider approving an increase in the director's authority to issue change orders from 21%, $25,000 to 27%, $32,823 of the original construction contract price of $121,750, accepting the rebid Fire Station 5 kitchen remodel project as complete, authorizing all necessary steps to file with the county recorder, releasing securities and releasing payments totaling $154,573 to OK Construction of Antelope, California. Item 15, consider approving a first amendment to the agreement with Bardo Wells Associates out of Berkeley, California for the wastewater rate study and Prop 218 assistance in the amount of $29,900 for an amended total amount not to exceed $149,175.
Move to approve all consent items except consent item number 13.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Will the city clerk, and the motion was Councilmember Canoyer, second from Councilmember Madrigal. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scudia-Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen?
Aye, so it carries 6-0. So we will go to item 13. Consider accepting the Del Rio tank number 14, well number 68, and pump station project as complete, authorizing all necessary steps to file with the county recorder, releasing securities and releasing payments totaling $10,203,691 to Mountain Cascade Incorporated of Livermore, California. And we have Mr. Will Wong, our Utilities Director. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and the rest of City Council members. I'm Will Wong, Director of Utilities. So item number 13 is requesting council to consider accepting the Del Rio project as complete. In 1995, the City of Modesto did acquire the Del Este Water Company, of which Del Rio neighborhood was part of it. We are the sole water provider in the community of Del Rio. The project was a tank and well as well as pump station, and during the course of construction, we discovered that we needed also to add treatment to the well as well. So the project started in 2018. We finally got the final pieces together recently due to some supply chain issues, but we are bringing this forward to council for acceptance tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions of council members? Councilmember Madrigal.
Yes, thank you. Real quick, could you just confirm, is this the same area that we had speakers, I want to say, was it last year or the year before, where they were talking about having low water pressure in their homes in the Del Rio area?
More than likely. Del Rio is run 100% wells, so if there's a system or issue with the band and wells cannot keep up, we'll see a drop in pressure, but from what I recollect, I don't think they drop below our public health standards.
Oh, I heard Del Rio, and it reminded me of, there was a few of those homeowners talking about,
Right.
you try taking a shower and there's just a trickle and something along those lines.
Yeah, and this project here was supposed to address those issues. So what we added there was what they lacked. We have an additional well, but a tank and a booster pump station, which is supposed to help increase the pressure in that neighborhood.
Okay, thanks.
All right, any further questions from council members? All right, comments from the public regarding consent item 13.
Emerson Drake again, thank you very much. I guess this is on. The reason I came up tonight, or the main reason, is because we've got an unusual or an unfortunate pattern here in Modesto. I mean, we bought Del Estes water. We did it a long time ago. By the way, they first came up in 2017, Councilman Madrigal. So you were here then, so that's probably what you remember, the original issue. Excuse me. But how long? Who's going to pay for this, quite honestly? You know, if you live in Modesto, you pay the UUT, the utility users tax. The city gets about 19-some million dollars from it. Actually, it's about 20 now, I think. But anyway, but some of these outliers, like Del Rio, aren't in Modesto. We've had we've had a couple others in recent months come forward that are outside the city of Modesto. They don't pay the users tax. But the citizens of Modesto that pay the users tax are the ones that are paying this $13 million. You don't have enough homes out there to begin to cover that cost. Although they're extremely wealthy, don't misunderstand me. It's not class warfare. If they're going to pay the UUT, maybe we'll consider it. But when is the city council going to defend Modesto residents? When are you going to stand up for us? I mean, they're not Modesto residents. Why should we, as a group, the 200+ thousand of us, the 92,000 homes according to MID, why should we be paying for these outlying communities to have special treatment? I mean, they had to juggle the tank. They couldn't find a spot. They had a spot, but it's not pretty there. So we had to find another spot. They didn't want to sell us the land that was reasonable. Well, you got to move it farther away. All the time, our costs are being increased. Now, I'm not complaining about staff. They're doing their job. They're doing their best to provide water service to some of these people. But my question to you, and I think it has to start here, how long are the citizens of Modesto going to be forced to pay for these? 40% of us are at or below the poverty line? That's a lot of people. Those are the people paying for those bright green homes that were so worried about the shower water pressure. It's amazing. They can make the grass grow plenty green, but my shower is the problem. Kind of a little disingenuous, if you ask me. I think Modesto, I mean, I know you're looking at that 39 million. We're not going there at all, tonight anyway. But the point is, Modesto needs to take care of Modesto. We have to be concerned about those citizens that can't afford what you and most of the rest of us can. They're barely making it. Barely. And we're going to hit them for the water fees. The sewer fee goes up, the water fee goes up, the garbage fee, everything goes up. But at least some of that they're paying for themselves. It's their own garbage. But why are we paying for Del Rio's water? Sell them the system, like Waterford and Hickman. Get it out of our responsibility. It shouldn't be here. We got crazy a few years ago and bought the system. I'm just asking for the mindset to be to change, and for you to consider the fact that it's not only wealthy people that get your ear, it's all the citizens of Modesto, that 40% that don't ever show up here. They vote, but they don't ever show up here, very seldom. So please, the next time one of these projects comes along, tell the city attorney or ask him to start opening, or excuse me, the city manager, to open up negotiations and see if we can get this. These are losers. These people are costing us money on a regular basis. Not kind of break even. These people are costing us money. So please, make a real change. Sorry about the extra time. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Are there any other members of the public that would like to come to discuss this item? All right, would you like to make a comment, Mr. Wong?
No, I'm just here.
Feel free if you'd like to.
If you want me to make a comment, I can.
Sure, go right ahead.
Anyway, the city of Modesto did purchase the Delacy water system, and not only that, we also inherited a bunch of other systems outlying areas. As a water purveyor, we have to look at them as customers rather than look at them from different boundaries. So my obligation as the utilities director is to continue to serve my customers who pay the utility bills on a regular basis and provide clean drinking water to those that are in those communities. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wishing to come forward on this subject? How about council members with comments regarding item 13 on consent? Seeing none, do I have a motion for a resolution accepting the Del Rio Tank number 14, well number 68, and pump station project is complete, authorizing all necessary steps to file with the county recorder, releasing securities and releasing payments totaling $10,203,691 to Mountain Cascade Incorporated, Livermore, California. And I have a motion from Vice Mayor Wright. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Ricky. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scutier-Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen?
Aye. So it carries 6-0. Thank you very much, everyone. Next is council comments and reports. Do any of the council members have any comments and reports? Vice Mayor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank the cruise people for their putting up a very interesting, I think it was about 1956, 57, well, pretty good, huh? 56 station wagon Chevy, I believe it is, at the museum. Has stuffed animals on the top and inside, and it's a unique paint job. And I know that the gentleman that put that all together spent hours and hours and hours of love on that car. If you haven't had a chance to go by the Graffiti Museum, you need to go by there and look at the vehicles that are there. But I just want to thank you guys for getting involved with the museum, and hopefully you are the next generation when the real old ones move on to glory or whatever, but it's your generation that'll be taking it over. So thank you for being involved.
All right. Any other council member comments or reports? Council Member Ricky.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I want to start off talking about regionalization a little bit. We've done a lot of it, and it's a very effective way to for local governments to maximize budgets and to save our residents money. And we've seen a lot of really successful regionalization in many areas of our local government over the last few decades. Stanislaus County Sheriff, for example, has done a lot of partnering with local cities over the years. Modesto Fire Department has been doing it with partners like Ceres and Oakdale. And I see wastewater treatment as an area that we could have some real possibilities for regionalization. And Modesto has a very strong wastewater facility, and it has extra capacity. So I'm hoping that we can try to find ways to partner with other local cities. It's a way that all of our residents, not just our city, but other cities can save money. It's also a way that we can provide more recycled water for local farmers, which is critical. So I really look forward to exploring those kind of opportunities. I also want to talk a little bit about the progress that we're making at our Convention and Visitors Bureau. Not only have they been doing a really amazing job creating regional events like the Almond Blossom Cruise, but they're really poised to take advantage of some of these investments that we as a city have been making, including the Modesto Children's Museum, the Graffiti Museum, the Awesome Spot. And I also think that they're in a very good position to get involved with future events like the Modesto Garage Sale Day, and possibly supporting like a Gallo Winery themed wine tasting facility that celebrates the fact that Modesto has the largest winery in the world. And also, let's go Cruiser Council. Thanks, Mayor.
All right. I would just like to make a brief comment on some of the statements that were made this evening. I feel compelled to say that the comments are heard and they are heartfelt. And I feel deep pain and grief for the loss of the loved one. I grieve for the children and for their pain. I feel like this council is doing what we can to address the issues that were mentioned, and I am encouraged with our police chief and the conversations that we have surrounding issues that we are addressing in our community. And I know that our community is loved, and we all want to improve it in every way that we can. I feel that every day, every moment of every day. But I am human, and I feel the pain that is expressed. So I just want to acknowledge that. Comments by Councilmember Rosa Scooty-Brayton.
I just wanted to take a few moments to address or highlight a few notable items that have occurred since the last time we gathered as a council. And Tesla has come to town officially on, as we most all should know, effective October the 10th. Tesla has established a presence here in Modesto where they have 500 parking spaces in the airport area. So effective this month, the city is benefiting from receiving revenue from this venture, and we are hopeful that it will continue to be fruitful, and we'll see what else might develop from this. Two, I just wanted to congratulate and thank the city's property crime unit for the arrests last week of out-of-towners who were causing havoc in our community through an organized retail theft group. They were arrested and are now facing prosecution. So our retailers are a little bit safer now that they're behind bars. Three, I had the joy of attending Dia de los Muertos, an event that was held right outside the building. It was a community event celebrating a cultural event that honored our family members who have passed. And it was lovely. It was a beautiful day, delicious food, there was music, there was community. It was a time really, really well spent. So it was a joy to be there with my family and celebrate. Number four, I wanted to thank the Downtown Streets team, and concurrent to them, and thank also the Ready to Work team. If you don't know, the Downtown Streets team focuses on roadways, where the Ready to Work team focuses on the highway. they both seek to beautify and clean and make Modesto a more dynamic place to live. They're very hardworking, and more important than anything, it creates pathways to success for community members that are experiencing homelessness. So these are two excellent programs that the city in large part funds with partnership with other entities, but they are great programs that the city supports. And I was driving along SIS the other day and saw the downtown streets team cleaning and trash from the roadway, and I pulled over and took a picture because I just thought, how cool is this? Thank you guys for doing, and guys in the generic way, you know what I mean, for doing this. So again, I just wanted to thank him for their hard work. And lastly, I had the benefit of touring our service yard yesterday, and who knew? We have great employees in the city of Modesto. They come to work every day and work really, really hard so that we can continue to enjoy Modesto. But there is a group of city employees that kind of go unnoticed, and that is the Public Works team. Those are the ones that are out in the street. They're trimming our trees, they're filling potholes, you see them on the roadways, they're cleaning everything, and they're part of our public works, and a lot of them that reside in the service yard, they are maintaining and servicing over 1,200 fleet units, and this is a massive undertaking, and they did an excellent job. They're doing an excellent job, and I just want to thank them and applaud them for their good work and their hard work that they do on a daily basis. So thank you. Concludes my remarks.
Thank you. Councilmember Madrigal.
First of all, I just wanted to also express my appreciation to the Modesto Cruisers Council successful event that you had. I just want to tell you, please keep at it. Please continue these positive, successful community events that you are doing that helps create, for lack of a better word, a new history, a new narrative of the cruising community, so that we can, have this new image, if you will, that you're being successful at recreating, rebranding, re-varnishing, whatever the word you want to use. Second of all, I wanted to share, I had the privilege of attending the Valley Builders Exchange 75th anniversary event last week. And they did, for staff present, they did share with me that one of their concerns is they wish that they would have had a sound wall behind their property and their project as well, because the new Highway 132 project is right behind them. And so they expressed that they also have repeated trouble with stolen items, because that whole section creates a haven or whatever for unwanted activity. They specifically cited problems with homeless people camping along that section of the new Highway 132 project. Just wanted to bring that up so staff can duly note it, since I was just thinking about that right now. But wanted to extend again my congratulations to the Valley Builders Exchange for the 75 years of helping keep local jobs, local contractors employed, busy, working, and helping to keep our local tax dollars through public projects like City of Modesto projects, helping keep those tax dollars in Modesto locally to continue to provide jobs here in our county, in our city. There was another one, and I lost my train of thought. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Are there any other council members that would like to make comments or reports? Does the city manager have any comments and reports? All right. Next on the agenda is hearings, and Vice Mayor Wright will conduct item 16, as I am recusing myself on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll open the public hearing, and will City Clerk please read the item?
Yes, Vice Mayor. Hearing to consider the relocation request of retail dispensary Doctor's Choice from 2039 Yosemite Boulevard to 121 Phoenix Avenue and granting a residential proximity waiver.
Thank you. We have a staff report, please. Scotty
Yes, we
Douglas.
do. Good evening, Vice Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Scotty Douglas, Deputy City Manager, and I'm here to present an application request by Doctor's Choice to relocate their dispensary from 2039 Yosemite Boulevard to 121 Phoenix Avenue. On December 19th of 2018, the City Council approved and issued a cannabis retail dispensary permit to Doctor's Choice with an approval to operate at 2039 Yosemite Boulevard. This is noted on the map shown with the blue dot to the right side, and subsequently Doctor's Choice's lease agreement with the property owner expired at the approved location on November 30th of 2021. However, prior to this date, on November 8th of 2021, Doctor's Choice submitted a request to the city to relocate to 121 Phoenix Avenue, which is represented by the green dot, and that's on the map as shown here. The item before you tonight is a public hearing to consider approval of a relocation request by the applicant, Doctor's Choice, with an issuance of a single proximity waiver, which will be explained a little bit later in this presentation. In order to fully evaluate the applicant's request to relocate from 2039 Yosemite Boulevard to 121 Phoenix Avenue, staff performed a very thorough assessment of the applicant's compliance and performance in accordance with city and state requirements. The assessment was broken down into three areas: city compliance, the city's cannabis consultant HDL's review regarding state law and city requirements, and the city finances review of their fees and taxes. The applicant was found to be in compliance with the city's cannabis ordinance and security plan, the zoning requirements, passing of proximity analysis, and community benefit commitment. Staff also performed due diligence interviews and reviewed associated documentation to confirm that the applicant is in good standing with the City of Modesto's conditions of the permit. Next was HDL's review, which confirmed that the applicant was also in compliance with the background checks, floor and security plans, state law, and the city requirements. And then finally, the City Finance Department performed a thorough review of the applicant's payment of fees and applicable taxes, and they also were found in compliance with these areas. Next is zoning and proximity requirements as it pertains to the relocation application. Cannabis retail dispensaries are allowed in C2, within C2 commercial zones, and 121 Phoenix Avenue meets this requirement. With regard to proximity, if a cannabis retail dispensary is to be located within 100 feet from a residence, 200 feet from a park or a library, and or 600 feet from a school, child care center, or youth center, a proximity waiver is required. The proximity evaluation was conducted based on criteria that defined each of the categories listed above, and at this time, the proposed location of 121 Phoenix Avenue is within 89 feet of a defined residence immediately to the west of the location at 124 San Juan Drive. You can see this to the left of this photo here. Staff has reviewed the plan submitted by the applicant to mitigate the proximity by installing an 8-foot wrought iron fence with a locking gate to the rear of the proposed location. And this will provide an impassable physical barrier needed to enable the issuance of a proximity waiver. This is not uncommon, as the city has issued other proximity waivers for dispensaries who have met this mitigation requirement. And for example, 6 of the cannabis businesses operating in the city currently have a waiver issued ranging from 70 feet for residential proximity, 95 feet from a school, and 570 feet from a state licensed child daycare. Again, these were all issued proximity waivers. Next, I'd like to provide some background. During the application review process, the city reviewed a letter of opposition from the owner of the Jai Shri Ram Community and Daycare Center located at 2007 Yosemite Boulevard in February of 2022. As a result, staff performed an in-depth analysis and found that a City of Modesto business license was applied for in October of 2021 and was issued by the City of Modesto to the owner of the daycare. However, staff was unable to locate a state-issued daycare operating license within the state system. And a subsequent visit by staff to 2007 Yosemite Boulevard did not show any evidence of a daycare in operation. As a result, staff sent an inquiry to the owner of the claimed daycare on July 19th of 2022 and a requested copy of their state license, which is required to operate a daycare at this location. The business license holder replied and provided a copy of an application that was submitted to the state 4 days later on July 23rd of 2022. However, they did not provide a copy of the state-issued license. Since that time, staff has performed system inquiries up to and including earlier today, and the application status with the state continues to show as pending. On October 13th of 2022, the Cannabis Program and Permit Review Committee conducted a public hearing regarding the relocation request from the applicant. During the hearing, a member of the public claimed that they were speaking regarding the daycare, referencing the Jai Shri Ram Community and Daycare Center, and stated that the daycare center is exempt from licensure from the state. The member of the public cited specific sections of state code governing daycare centers that they believed provides an exemption from state licensing requirements. The city attorney's office and staff have since reviewed the state code that was cited by the owner of the claimed daycare center. And as stated earlier, the business still does not have a state license to operate, and staff does not have any evidence that any child daycare center has operated at this location. After looking carefully at the cannabis ordinance and this location, it is the intent of the ordinance to create distance requirements to protect certain sensitive uses such as schools, residential areas, child daycare centers due to potential negative impacts. There are very important distinctions between state licensed daycare centers and facilities that are exempt from licensing. As an example, licensed child care centers can be open every day of the year. However, even if the Jai Shri Ram Community and Daycare Center were to operate under this stated exemption, the exemption would only allow the center to operate up to 30 days per year for school-age children and up to 15 days per year for children younger than school age. Any business operating under this exemption is very different than a state-licensed daycare. The Modesto Municipal Code makes reference to the specific California Health and Safety Code licensing provisions for daycare centers in defining a child care center with the intention to protect state-licensed child care centers that are open on a continuous basis throughout the year. Therefore, consideration of a proximity waiver is not needed due to Jai Shri Ram Community and Daycare Center not being in operation and their failure to obtain proper state licensing. In summary, at the October 13th Cannabis Program and Permit Review Committee meeting, the committee approved forwarding the item to council with a recommendation to approve the Type 10 business permit for Doctor's Choice to relocate to 121 Phoenix Avenue, including a residential proximity waiver. Staff is now prepared to answer any questions the council may have.
Thank you. Scotty. Any questions from council members? Seeing none? No questions? Okay. So at this time, we'll open up for public comment. Ask the public come forward to speak on this item. Anyone in the public like to come forward? Sebastian? Mr. Jones?
Good afternoon, City Councilman. Hi, Jenny. And Mayor. I was talking about this about 3 or 4 months ago. About this, I met with a person over there. And I was trying to, I think you kind of made it clear on this daycare. And this, I'm trying to gather my thoughts because I'm going back. When I had a meeting with a couple of peoples over there. And you said that this daycares basically don't exist.
For the presentation, you're correct.
I thought they were setting up this daycare and had the right papers and stuff. I mean, excuse me, just trying to gather my thoughts. And this place had moved from one end to around the corner, but it was a daycare supposed to be setting up. And I apologize that my thoughts are not gathered clearly. But I knew that this daycare was supposed to have been in compliance. But it doesn't look like it's not in compliance. I don't know. Well, I just want to leave this note. We need more minority dispensaries. I've been speaking since day one. We had the one on Groveland. Now we have Doctor's Choice moved, and I don't know, it's been out of business for a minute because he's relocating. Well, I'm gonna get with some people here because I done got kind of lost a little bit. So I don't know what we're gonna do on this matter tonight. And my apology. I just thought that they had this business already set up and running. My apology. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Online, we have Zach Driven. Welcome, Zach.
Mayor Whalen and members of the council, good evening and thank you for the opportunity to be heard. I'm Zach Travan, an attorney before you on behalf of the Doctor's Choice Organization and applicant, DC Modesto LLC. First, I'd like to thank staff for the presentation for all the work that's gone into their bringing this application forward. We appreciate theirs and the Cannabis Committee's recommendations of approval, especially in light of the unblemished track record and solid reputation of this business. As you may know, the applicant had previously been in operation for a period of 3 years at the original 2039 Yosemite Boulevard location under a lease with landlord Omar Kumar. Around this time last year, however, as the applicant's lease for that property was coming to its expiration, discussions around the lease reached a breaking point despite the applicant's good faith efforts to renegotiate, and they were met with the take it or leave it posture by Mr. Kumar, demanding a 10 times rent increase, a $70,000 cash deposit, and annual rent increases of 10% over a 20-year term. These rates are completely infeasible with respect to the financial wherewithal of the business and unheard of in commercial leases. The applicants were thereby compelled to bring an application for an alternative location at the newly proposed 121 Phoenix Avenue facility. The former landlord now presents as the sole opponent to the project, relying primarily on a contextual application that they have submitted to the state for a daycare center as an attempt to disqualify this application from approval. Moreover, despite their application to the Department of Social Services for a daycare license, which is not approved, the opponents now cite an exemption to the state's licensing requirement in their argument that this illegitimate daycare center be recognized. Following conference with the city's retained counsel on this issue, we now concur that the type of daycare which may qualify for such an exemption with intermittent, limited attendance is not the type that the city should recognize as necessitating a sensitive use boundary. This is a last-ditch effort by the landlord to thwart the applicant's application for a new location due to their lease dispute. Fortunately for the city and for the applicants, the Balls family has established a stellar operational history at the former, not only at the location, but as property owners and retailers at Phoenix Market, which is right next door to the proposed location, where they have become a cornerstone of the neighborhood. This is validated by the 53 endorsements received from nearby residents who are familiar with the quality of character of the applicants and the integrity of the business operation established by the Ball family through their operation at the Phoenix Market store. As to the residents at issue for the requested location waiver, the subject residence front San Juan Drive facing the opposite direction on the next block to the west and is currently separated by two barriers. One, its own backyard fence, as well as an existing 6-foot fence securing the rear perimeter of the location, which would be improved to an 8-foot wrought iron fence upon approval of the project. The current resident, Juan Zuniga, has provided a letter offering his full support for approval of the project that I've advanced to the council earlier this week. Notably, the applicant's former location also required a sensitive use waiver, which was granted upon the condition of installation of an 8-foot wrought iron fence, and after it was installed, there was no issue during their 3 years in operation. The proposed location allows the applicant and city to maintain the only cannabis retail facility in the area with an established customer base, with this being the only retail location east of McHenry Avenue, thus avoiding potential overconcentration in the city center and allowing customers in the area the benefit of an accessible location for their cannabis needs. With the applicant's excellent track record in cannabis operations, through which the city was collecting approximately $35,000 a month in revenue from cannabis taxes, as well as the family's 22-year history of positive relations operating a retail business at the proposed location, we feel this project is more than qualified for approval, which is why we are asking for you to vote to approve today. Finally, the applicants have met and exceeded their public benefit commitments in the city, having generously supported local nonprofits serving the community, including the Boys and Girls Club of Stanislaus County, Modesto Gospel Mission, the Good Neighbor Program, as well as the first annual Martin Luther King Jr. basketball tournament held at MLK Park earlier this year. With that, I thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Zach. Next speaker?
Yes, my name is Raj Kumar. I'm the previous owner of the 2039.
Pull your
Dr. Choice.
microphone up so we can hear you a little bit better. Thank you.
Thank you, sorry. So if you can ask Mr. Tony, he came to my daycare, just trying to, sorry for my explanation, so how I can make it. So I just going to explain that each, I don't think maybe you want to hear the whole story, but we leased that building to Dr. Choice nicely with only $3,000 a month. In that time, when there was establishing business, everyone, and which I know everybody was charging $12,000 rent per month. But I, since my friends, and I gave them only $3,000 a month. So they were paying the rent in 3 years. And after that, I just asked them, since everybody's paying kind of your business, because we own another business, cigarette too, they're paying more than $4,000 rent, and I said we're going to negotiate. And there was no compelling them to give me that much rent. We was just negotiating. While we was negotiating, they stopped paying rent. They said, we're not going to pay you rent. I said, why? And then he stopped paying rent. 4 months, he did not pay the rent. I went to the court. I take to the court. What happened? The judge issued the eviction. And while there was an evicted procedure, they're trying to relocate their location to the other place. So that's what their credibility is when the attorney is asking. That's what their credibility. When I gave him all the cannabis business, when other business people was giving me more than $10,000 rent, I leased them $3,000 a month. 3 years. And after that, and they make the story, that's a credibility. This attorney is trying to make it. They even went to my attorney and trying to bribe him, and he did not go to court, and that's what this guy did. And when honest people there, when judge ordered him eviction at night, he destroyed my building. And that is on Modesto B, CBS News. Every paper I sent to the mayor, I sent to Tony. Tony went over there. He went over there, I showed him what they did. They destroyed the whole building. It's cost me more than $20,000. They want to leave, go ahead, leave. At least don't destroy it. Who should I tell? It's you guys. This is my story. We helped this guy. When he was asking me other people, remedy, they ask me, I can pay you more than 10,000, 5,000. I said, no. He's from my country. I want to help him. I did help him. So what I get of it? So then by the time, while he was making money, he bought that building in the Phoenix Avenue. When he bought the building, then he has in mind, he wants to move.
Okay, can we wrap it up?
I just want to tell you the honest story,
Okay.
which I don't have. I already sent Mayor Tony. I even show him the building. I have the daycare there. When he wants to move, it's okay. He can move. But I want to do another business. When I'm doing another business, he's trying to put another business in there.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
Okay, then it's on you guys.
Okay.
So let's see. You're going to be fair, or you're going to be unfair, and that's the story. Is going to be rest of the life.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank
you. Any other public would like to? Anybody else from the public like to make a comment? If not, we will close the public comment and ask for council for any further comments for any council members. Tony? Councilmember Madrigal.
Oh, sorry, that was an old button. Let me
Okay.
unclick that.
Thank you.
I would like to make a comment if no
Okay.
other one does. All the issues that I believe were presented today have been raised before in some level or other, and I do trust that the city has done an exemplary review and analysis of this applicant's request. And it's due to this very thorough, thoughtful, painstakingly detailed analysis and review that I feel definitely substantiates the fact that the applicant is fully compliant, qualified, and meets all requirements. And that is why I will be supporting the recommendation of the staff today.
Thank you, council member. Any other comments? I would like to make a comment. I was impressed with all the signatures from the community around the dispensary that are for it. I think it was over 80 or 90 signatures that came in, which showed me that that community is supporting this. So that I was really glad of that. Any other comments from city manager or for deputy city manager? No? Okay, thank you. So moving on, I would ask the clerk to read the staff recommendation. We need a motion first? Okay. Ask for a motion?
Move to approve consent item 16, hearing to consider the relocation request retail dispensary, Doctor's Choice.
Second.
Thank you, Council Member Canoyer. Thank you, Council Member Rosas Scudio Brayton. Thank you.
And I will now read the staff
Okay,
recommendation. Resolution approving the relocation of Type 10 Business Permit Relocation Request, Doctor's Choice Dispensary from 2039 Yosemite Avenue to 121 Phoenix Avenue, Modesto, California, 95350, and granting a residential proximity waiver.
Okay. Ask for a vote, please.
Yes. Councilmember Canoyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky. Aye. And Vice Mayor Wright.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. Thank you.
You guys already made the decision before I came over here.
Okay.
All right, next on the agenda is new business. Item 17, consider awarding Stanislaus Regional Housing Authority loans and grants in the total amount not to exceed $3,226,604 for the development of the Vine Street Affordable Housing Project, including Vine Street improvements, and $100,000 for staff activity delivery costs. Welcome, Jessica Hill.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Jessica Hill, Community Development Manager. So I'm very excited to bring this project forward. It's been a project that we've spoken about at our committee and council meetings since 2018. And in 2019, the Stanislaus Regional Housing Authority purchased the property at 0 Vine Street with a $280,000 grant from the city's CDBG funds to ultimately secure additional funding to construct 35 affordable housing units. So from 2019 to 2022, the Stanislaus Housing Authority was able to rezone the property. They developed and received approval for building plans, procured contractors, and then secured all of the financing apart for this gap before us today. The project is a collaborative project with the City of Modesto, Stanislaus Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, F&M Bank, the Housing Authority, and Great Valley Housing Development Corporation. The project will consist of 35 units. 23 of those are permanent supportive housing units called the King Kennedy Veterans Cottages. They are going to be partly for veterans units and part for those with behavioral health services as well. And those are for incomes under 30% of the area median income. Helen White Court are 12 units for seniors, with those seniors between 50 and 80%. And then the project also consists of the Vine Street repairs in order to bring Vine Street up to city standards. The development site plan of the property is above. As you can see, the exterior of the property is the King Kennedy cottages, and then the interior portion is the 12 units for the senior Helen White Court. The total project cost is $10.8 million, and it consists of a total construction cost of $6.4 for the construction of the units, development and financing costs, soft cost totaling $979,000 for a total project of $10.3 with contingencies totaling $10.8. As part of the total project costs, there has been a huge collaboration. So as you can see, the Stanislaus Regional Housing Authority is contributing $3.2 million, Stanislaus counties contributing $4.3 million, and our ask today for the City of Modesto is contribute the remaining 30%, which totals $3.2 million. Following approval tonight, construction can begin in November 2022. Construction would continue through December 2023 and be fully occupied by December 2023. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation. Does council have any questions of staff? I have one question. You mentioned that the veteran housing would be in partnership with behavioral health. Do you know, and if you can't answer this tonight, that's fine. I'm just curious if there will be on-site behavioral health services or if those will be...
I do have our housing authority here tonight, so they may be able to answer that question on my behalf.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Jim Cruz, Executive Director for Stanislaus Regional Housing Authority. To answer your question, we're going to set this up similar to what we're doing at Vine Street. So we will have an office that's available where BHRS staff will be able to be on site. And so there'll be a portion of the King Kennedy cottages that will be for behavioral health clients, and another portion of that will be for veterans. The veterans will be serviced by the Veterans Administration staff, who won't necessarily have an office there, but they will have an office available when they show up during the week to provide services and support to the veterans.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions from council members? Councilmember Madrigal.
No, I would just wanted, I'll wait till we make comments.
Okay, great. Vice Mayor Wright, questions?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So the units themselves, not counting all the sewer, the water, everything else, we're looking at $6.4 million for the 35 units, is that correct?
That's correct.
So that's $183,000 per unit for a 500-600 square foot unit. Why is the cost so high? And how many bids did we get in?
We got a couple bids, and we took the lowest construction bid at that time. However, as you know, over the last 2022 year, coming out of the COVID shutdown, we were experiencing increased cost fluctuations across the board, material delay, to the point where projects were actually almost doubling in cost, sometimes tripling in cost. That is still going on. When part of the delay in getting this project going was that costs were escalating at an unprecedented rate, sometimes month over month. So by the time we would get a cost overrun for 1 month, it was already up 5% the next month. So that's part of why we're seeing now a little bit of a stabilization in those increased rates, and they say that some of the material costs are going down. I can give you an example of things like 2x4s that used to be in 2019 at $2.50 for a board. They were up about $15, and they say that they're coming back down, and so now they're back down to maybe 8, maybe 5, but they're never going back to the level that they were for some time here. So that's part of why the cost of these units is so high. The lumber, the concrete, steel prices have tripled. So to answer your question, it's really the market factors right now, and rising interest rates most recently has been affecting that as well. So a lot of mitigating factors, no one thing. It's just I think our global pandemic and the global market conditions are affecting our local prices here as well.
So are these units required to have solar and sprinklers inside?
Yes. The new Title 24 codes require all units to have fully integrated solar systems on board, and then the sprinkler systems as well, which add additional cost to each unit.
So that's one of the reasons why we can't do affordable housing in the private sector, is because the costs are so high. And I know that we need affordable housing. And I'm hoping that citizens will start saying, hey, for a 600 square foot house, do we really need sprinklers in it? Do we really need solar? Because that does drive up the cost of housing. And I think that's something that, we here in Modesto and throughout California need to, call our legislators and really look at what can we do to really make smaller homes more affordable for the, workforce people out there that are making $20 an hour and need a roof over their head. It's okay for them to sleep in the parks. It's okay for them to sleep on our streets, but for us to build something that's affordable for them, that maybe doesn't have solar, doesn't have sprinklers in it, that's not acceptable. And that's, to me, that's not acceptable to have that. We have hundreds of houses or thousands of houses in Modesto that are 1,100 square feet that were built back in the 50s and 60s that don't have solar and don't have sprinklers. And why can't we do that now? So anyway, thank you for your information. And I'm just frustrated that we can't do really affordable housing. $183,000 for a 600 or 700 square foot home is I think the government sometimes gets in our way. Thank you.
All right, questions. Councilmember Scudia Brayton.
Thank you, Mayor. This is super exciting. Thank you, you and your teams, for bringing us to this point. How are we going to communicate this wonderful opportunity to our community? And once we do, and once individuals find out, what will the process look like to have the tenants be there?
So we will be doing a groundbreaking here as soon as we consolidate all of the funding. We're looking at getting started hopefully in December once we can solidify that and the construction financing. And then we'll be doing a groundbreaking, so we'll advertise that way. I'm sure that the Bee will be doing some kind of articles on this as well that will go out and get that advertisement. And then as we get closer to leasing up, most of our partners, including BHRS and the Veterans Administration, are just waiting for this to get done. They've got hundreds of people on their waiting list just to fill these units. So we will be publicizing that. We'll have a grand opening when it's open, when we complete it, and then I think that will give you your public exposure for that, because it is a great project. And I do want to say from the Housing Authority, thank you to the city staff who have worked diligently for us. Planning staff has been fantastic to partner with. Thank the council for kind of sticking with us through this. We picked probably the most difficult time at beginning of 2020 to start a project like this. So we appreciate you sticking with the project and seeing it through with us. So,
as great and as a wonderful opportunity a groundbreaking is, and publicizing it in the Modesto Bee, I would hope, and I would strongly encourage you to go deeper than that and really reaching out to the underserved community that can really benefit from this, and in multiple language, in multiple ways. So just strongly want to emphasize that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Understood.
Right. Thank you. Any other questions from council members? Seeing none at this time, we will ask members of the public to come forward, open it up to the public. I do not have any blue speaker cards regarding this item. Right. And I'm not sure about on Zoom. Is there anyone with there? I don't see that on my screen at the moment. No. All right. Welcome.
Well, I'm sorry on that last one. My notes I'm dead. But anyway, you guys bring joy to Mr. Jones. You bring joy to West Modesto. The affordable housing project is a good thing. It's 35 units. That's a start. And I love it. Now, I was hearing y'all talking about the excuse me, I have to slow down. I urge the city council to bring good news to West Modesto. I'm always looking out for South and West Modesto. We are in need. Actually, we are in a state of emergency of housing. I've been speaking a little over 2.5 years about the Muni Golf Course. We need to build apartments, 3 stories, 4 stories. We have a lot of homeless people. And we can find money, and from the state and federal. We need to uplift South and West Modesto. We need more affordable houses. This is a start. It made me happy. And we need to find ways of finding other money. I think you were saying something about that car maker. Well, let's take some of that money. Let's take some of the money from these campus building places, and let's put it in the pot. Because we need to build. I asked you about east and north. You guys build over there. But I can't go there. You guys talk about, because it made me happy. But that's just the beginning. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any members of the public that would like to make further comments on item 17? All right, I will close public comments. Are there any comments, further comments from council members? David Wright, Vice Mayor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm glad to see this finally getting started. I think this came through Councilmember Canoyers and myself on our committees 4, maybe 5 years ago that we approved this, and it's taken a while to put everything together. And that's great it's going. It's sad though it takes us so long because how just finding the partners to partner with us, because this is a collaboration between the city and other partners to have this come together. So I'm glad that we're finally get this forward. I don't like the cost, however, I'm glad we're moving forward.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Canoyer.
Yes, it's been a long time, but it was actually, I know you said it at the beginning, when did this actually come to us with the possibility of getting this property?
It was in 2018.
In 2018?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's been, actually, I'm going to tell you, for a government project, 5 years, not bad. Because it's just unfortunate. And the cost And that's part of it, because we need to get private, public together, and nonprofit, basically a nonprofit. But the government requires, and it's not just the federal government, I think it's state law, that when you build anything new, it has to have, I don't know if there's a size to it, that it has to have sprinklers, and it has to have, well, I'm not so much solar, but I think there's a time when if you don't have a garage and you have a carport, you're gonna have to have solar, or you're gonna have to have solar in your house. So it's really unfortunate. I feel so sorry for people who are trying to find affordable housing. And then I look and see how long it takes. But in some ways, our hands are tied, and we have to, in order to get the money that we need, we have to, you have to agree to these processes, the solar, and you have to have things in them that last 50 years. That's their requirement. So unfortunately, it does cost a lot more to build affordable housing, which is kind of an oxymoron. But I am so glad to see this get through, and I'm sure in time we'll see more. But it's going to take more than us getting after the people above us to change the requirements for our homes that need to be built. And costs have gone up. I've had some work done at my house, and a 8x10, it was an 8x10 plywood was like $12, and now it's some places $75. So it's just the cost is escalated. But the longer we wait, the longer it's going to cost. But thank you so much, and I'm sure that there's probably hundreds of people on a waiting list already.
There are, and I want to tear off Councilmember Scudia Brayton's comment, is the Housing Authority has tenant selection policies and procedures and an affirmative marketing plan to ensure that we are reaching out to those most vulnerable populations in our community as well. So anytime that there's a vacancy, they have to reach out a certain way in order to market to both Spanish and English to our most vulnerable populations.
Fantastic, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Ricky.
I wanted to join the chorus of appreciation for what you guys have done with this project. I think it's an important project. I don't need to tell you how many residents in our city are suffering from not being able to find a place to live that has a reasonable rent. It's an epidemic problem. And the work you guys are doing is making a difference, and so that's awesome. One thing I will say, there's a lot of talk tonight about the inflation stuff, and it's true. But I do think there's some hope in that, usually what comes up eventually goes down too. So I think that it's going to get better. Those are my comments.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Madrigal.
So I also remember back to 2018. I actually remember a little bit before then having conversations with, I think it was some of the city ministry network
You are
folks,
correct,
which
yes.
Owned that property beforehand.
They did.
They were sharing some of their vision as well as to what they wanted to do with the project, and some of the discussion included affordable housing, and I was raring to go back then. I was saying, let me know what it is, which direction you want to go, so let's usher it through. And just want to add my praise to the course. Thank you. Please keep. I'm sure you probably have a few more of these type of projects in the hopper, and yeah, we just need a whole lot more of these, and so I'm excited because just to echo Councilman Connor's sentiment, it is pretty good. It is pretty fast for these type of projects. I've been to other ribbon cuttings for government projects where they bring back like an old council member, an old, assembly member who's like, I remember when so-and-so back in 19 something. So thank you, and I look forward to having this go through without a hitch in a few moments here.
Thank you, Councilmember Madrigal.
Right, thank you everyone for your efforts. Really looking forward to seeing this open and spending some time there. All right, I have a resolution approving the award of loans and grants to Stanislaus Regional Housing Authority with Great Housing Development Corporation as developer in the total amount not to exceed $3,226,604 for the development of the Vine Street Affordable Housing Project, including the Vine Street Road improvements, and $100,000 for staff activity delivery costs, and authorizing the city manager or designee to execute agreements. A resolution amending the fiscal year 2022-2023 multi-year fund budget 101193 to increase the budget of the Vine Street Project Fund 101185 with community development block grant funds, home investment partnership funds, home community housing development organizations, set aid and permanent local housing allocation for development of the Vine Street Affordable Housing Project totaling $3,226,604 and an additional $100,000 budgeted for activity delivery costs, and budgeting the necessary transfers and authorizing the city manager or his designee to take the necessary steps to implement the provisions in this resolution. Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilmember Madrigal.
Second.
And a second by Councilmember Escutia Brayton. Will the city clerk please call the roll for this item?
Councilmember Canoyer.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen.
Aye. So it carries 6-0. Are there any matters too late for the agenda? Seeing none, I am calling the meeting of the City Council to be adjourned.